Okay guys, we're indoors today. We're back in Gavin Lunny's studio here in Naas. If you haven't seen that video, please go and check it out. This place is a great teaching facility. Today we're looking at driver technology. So we're comparing the SLDR. It's a driver I've used for quite a while and was fitted for about 2 years ago. And we're putting that up against the new Ping G series. So G is brand new to the market. The SLDR is about 2 years old. So wouldn't be an old technology, per se, but I guess the rate Taylormade release clubs, it probably is. There's a lot of cool technology in the new Ping series that Gavin's going to take us through now in a minute. But the big issue for me is not so much distance, it's more to do with strike, so accuracy of things like dispersion and stuff like that. So really just wanted to understand what this new club technology would offer a club golfer like myself, currently playing off 9, versus something like the SLDR. And as I understand it, something like this club is not as forgiving. So if you're not catching the sweet spot, it's not going to be as forgiving as some of this new technology.
Yeah, I mean, I think when it comes to forgiveness, the key really is MOI. That's the buzzword, if you like. And the key to increasing the MOI, or the sweet spot, is to lower the center of gravity and move it as far back as possible in the club head, which sounds a lot easier than it actually is to achieve. But Ping, obviously a company that pride themselves on forgiveness, managed to do this better than anyone else. So you can see the back weight here. This is an SF Tech head, but the G series has the back weight a little bit more centered, and then the LS Tech head, which is the low spinning head, has the back weight a little bit more forward. So the more we lower weight and move it further behind, the more we increase the MOI and the forgiveness of the club head and the club's resistance to twisting. Obviously the turbulators are a big feature with G, so they're still there, and this Dragonfly technology, which allows Ping to take some weight out of the crown and move it down into the bottom of the club, which again further allows them to distribute weight differently.
So we've run some numbers and we'll share that as part of this video. I've hit a couple of balls with my SLDR club. We're going to put that up against the Ping and just compare and contrast those numbers. Spec-wise, the clubs are more or less the same in relation to shaft and stuff like that. I think we've moved from a slightly different weight, have we, in shaft and in one?
Yeah, the one that you have is a lightweight X-Flex shaft, so I think we're looking probably at around 45 to 50 degrees here, grams. And then what I've recommended for you, based on the shots that you've hit, is the 80-gram Tour S shaft. So it's a little bit heavier, not as much torque. We're going down a little bit in flex as well.
Okay.
Your tendency is to lose it a little bit to the right. So we've gone with the SF Tech head, which has that slight draw bias, and a slightly heavier shaft with less torque.
Okay.
So it makes it harder for you to turn the face over.
So the new G series, there's a couple of variations in this series of clubs, correct? In this G series, maybe you'll just explain what those differences are.
Yeah, well, going back to what we said earlier about there's no one club for everybody. People want different things. Some people want a slight draw bias to offset a fade or a slice. Other people are more neutral and in the middle and want a kind of mid-range launch and spin rate. And then the LS Tech head is the low spinning head, which where they've brought the back weight a little bit more forward to reduce the spin. Most golfers, the vast majority of golfers, will want more launch and maybe a little bit more spin to keep the ball in the air. Yeah. That's I'm not labeling everybody with that, but the vast majority of golfers will struggle to launch the ball high enough off the club face. Okay. So they'll tend to steer more towards the ordinary G head and the SF Tech head. Okay. The low spinning head tends to be for more higher speed players who have no difficulty launching it, but they may spin it a little bit too much. So there's 3 different head types. They're the categories that they fall into, and it's just the case once you conduct the fitting process and you get some numbers, it's an awful lot easier then make an accurate assessment as to what's most suitable for you.
Okay. So that's the LS Tech,
G, and SF Tech.
And SF Tech. They're the 3 variations in this series. Okay. And is it fair to say that Ping would be known as the most forgiving club? So you hear a lot about this, having to hit the sweet spot of the club. Is one of the major pluses of Ping and the G range in general the fact that there is a little bit more forgiveness in that club face? So the missed strikes, etc., may not be as bad as they would be with some other clubs.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, Ping are a forgiveness-based company. They prioritise making the game easier and being more accurate with off-centre hits. That's what all their, that's what a huge amount of their modus operandi is.
So the ethos is kind of make the game easier.
Yeah. Absolutely. Okay. Now, there's no question if you're hitting balls straighter, you're also hitting them further. So I think you'll get a double whammy. If you're hitting it straighter, you'll inevitably hit it a little bit further, certainly on average. And I think that probably appeals to the vast majority of golfers. Yeah. But they have options for everybody, whether it's different shape of iron heads. And now the driver, obviously, with the SF Tech series, particularly in the fairway woods this year now, has been a big addition as well. And that's been really helpful because a lot of people have difficulty getting a 3-wood or a fairway wood off the ground into the air. So some of the technology now is much more geared towards making that easier to do.
Very good.
So, yeah, very much a forgiveness-based company. But I think certainly in recent years, distance-wise, they've certainly come up to challenge some of the more distance-orientated companies, like, for example, Taylormade. Okay, so just having a look now at the numbers that you produced with your own driver. The SLDR, so you're generating about 103 miles an hour clubhead speed, which is pretty good, well above average. Your attack angle was a little bit down, but that's perfectly okay. There's a little bit too much made of hitting up on the driver. Yes, it's a help. But if we work too hard in the wrong way to hit up on it, then that can cause problems as well. Smash factor is very, very good, 1.5. So you were in a good range there, and you were generating good ball speed with a launch angle of 11.5 and a spin rate of 2.8. Your overall carry was 250, and your total was 273. You were missing your shots a little bit to the right. So we went with the SF Tech head and the stiff 80-gram shaft based on the amount of speed you were creating, and also factoring in that you did have a good day today. You struck the ball really well. Smash was nice and high. You're not going to better that too much. The question is, maybe on a bad day, does that 103 drop to a 99 or 100? So we went with stiff from that point of view. Again, attack angle 1.8 degrees down, still okay. We certainly don't want it to get any more down than that. But even that said, your smash was the exact same. Your ball speed was the same. Your launch angle was the same. Your spin rate was the same, but you increased your distance by 6 yards or so. So 5 yards. And your overall distance went up by 4. So there's a slight improvement in distance, but there was an improvement as well in direction, which we can see by the ovals here on the right hand side. Again, I'd like to see what a little bit more practice and time with that driver would do. Yeah. But there's no question, if you were in the mood to make an investment, I'd be very happy to put you into that driver. You're striking the ball well, you're swinging it well, you're not, you're hitting it a little bit to the right. Yeah. Yes, a driver can help you a little bit. That's the technology to do it. Yeah, we know that the angle of attack and stuff is a work in progress in relation to my swing anyway. Yeah. So I think the biggest thing for me was the fact that the numbers, there wasn't a huge difference. They were fairly consistent between the two drivers, which is great to see. But there was definitely a marked improvement in dispersion based on the club, which is a huge thing for me. And, there's definitely some additional carry in that. So I think it highlights the fact that, this newer technology
definitely can help, and with a couple more tweaks, hopefully we'll see those numbers improve more. And it's something, you know, I hope that we can revisit, you know, in a while, once I've had the club in the bag for a while, to look at things like the attack angle and what additional improvement that has. But I think, yeah, for me it's been an eye-opening experience that, you know, the newer technology can certainly help improve the
Interestingly, we went with a shaft that wasn't quite as stiff as the one that you had.
Yeah.
And if you look at your, and this is the coach's hat on, if you look at your club path, which measures basically whether your club is moving into out or out to in at impact, most golfers will that'll be the terminology that they understand. When you're swinging something that's too stiff, you can often overuse your body to try and muscle the shaft.
Okay.
But if you look at when we went with the club that had a little bit more flex in it, your club path was positive. So you were hitting it slightly from in to out with the ping driver, whereas you were cutting across it on one swing 6 degrees with your own.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying that is directly related to the fact that the shaft was X versus S, but it is something that I see when I'm fitting or coaching, that if the shafts are too stiff, a person will try to generate enough.
So it's an overcompensation kind of thing. Okay.
It's an overcompensation. So that's a positive as well, because if we want to maximize driver length, it is important to hit it from right to left for a right-handed golfer.
Very good. Moral of the story, guys, you know, if you're looking at driving, you know, changing the driver, putting something new in the bag, come to a professional, use technology like Trackman, because these are the numbers that you cannot see, you know, standing hitting balls in a bay. So, you know, these facilities are super. Okay, great.